Today we're going to talk about my thoughts regarding the Vitalism studies, aka Peyote Plants 2.0. So for those of you that are not familiar with Peyote Plants in GTA 5 and GTA Online, well, in GTA Online specifically, they will periodically put in these peyote plants scattered throughout the map of GTA Online. And you go find the peyote plants. Each time you have a peyote plant, you consume it, it will transform you into an animal. Whether it's a dog, a cat, a deer, a cougar, a bird, even some various sea life. And you can be that animal as long as you want to be, and you can go as far as you want to go. And you will stay alive and be that animal until you die. So you could be a cat for as long as you want to be a cat, or a pug, or whatever. I think most of you know what these peyote plants are all about in GTA Online. So Rockstar's done something very similar with the Vitalism studies through Harriet. So you will notice on the map that her icon will be yellow. And when you get close enough to one of her stands, it'll have this yellow outline, which indicates that you're about to endure a fun little cutscene with Harriet.
You know, this connection between us, it's developed into something quite powerful, don't you think? The majority of people go through life believing they see everything, when in fact, they see almost nothing, confined by the limits of their own consciousness. Just imagine if you could scurry as a possum, hop as a rabbit. Well, I've discovered an herb, scarlet and amethyst flowers. Harrietum officinalis was what I've named it. If you can make contact with a vestige of the animal while ingesting the herb and truly opening your mind to its vital forces, you will be transported in ways you can't even begin to fathom. Trust me, this will open your eyes. Be free. I wouldn't share this information with anyone but you.
So after the cutscene, you get a pamphlet, you take a drink, and you go to your satchel. And then you find the pamphlet, and it basically tells you that you need to go find these new flowers. They're called Harrietum officinalis. They're just flowers. There are 35 of them scattered throughout the map. But for specifically this first animal that's been drip fed, the buck, you have to find 5. So we have to go around the map looking for 5 flowers, pick 5 flowers. By the way, I would recommend you go get as many of these flowers as possible and just hold on to them in your satchel for future drip-fed vitalism studies, aka Peyote Plant 2.0, down the road, so you don't have to hunt for those flowers again. In case you want to know what Harriet's flowers look like, this is basically what it looks like in first person to give you a better idea. And you can use Eagle Eye in order to see some yellow gold plume above it. It will not cause the controller to vibrate. You will not hear a chime. So these flowers are a little bit more difficult to find. And once again, you will need a certain amount for, I guess, each of the animals that get drip fed out for the Vitalism studies. So we have 1, and we need 4 more in order to have 5, so that we can have the ability, the power to transform into a buck. By the way, in order to do the Vitalism studies, you will have to be Naturalist rank 5 or higher before you'll be able to trigger the cutscene with Harriet, and she will give you the opportunity to go chase down some flowers and become whatever animals you end up becoming eventually as they get drip fed out one by one through the Vitalism studies. Now, the reason why I'm able to find the flowers a little bit easier than the average player will is because of the interactive map I will leave below in the description section. I highly recommend you check it out. Yes, it's the quote-unquote collector map that's out there. That's been constantly updated. By the way, shout out to the hard-working people behind the map. They've done a great job keeping that map as updated as possible, not just with collector content, but with other stuff as well. So we have to continue now, going throughout the map, looking for more of these flowers. And like I mentioned, I am using that interactive map link below the description section in order to find at least 5 of the flowers so that we can transform into a buck for Vitalism Studies, or as I like to call it, Peyote Plant 2.0. Thanks to the map that's linked below in the description section, we have found the 5th flower needed to transform into a buck. And now we have to go to a specific location in Big Valley. Fortunately, I am in Big Valley, which is one of the better spots to go where these flowers happen to be, according to the interactive map. So I collected 5 flowers from north of Strawberry to Owengila over here, south of Little Creek, where I'm at right now. With the pamphlet as well as now 5 flowers in my satchel, I'm able to go to a specific location. In this case, for the buck, it'll be in Big Valley by the Hanging Dog Ranch. This dead tree is where you want to be in order to initiate your transformation into a buck. You can use Eagle Eye to help you get an idea of where you need to be right there. All you got to do is inspect it. As long as you have the flowers and the pamphlet from Harriet, everything else will happen as it's meant to. Now we are officially a buck in Red Dead Online. And the animals will actually interact with you like you're an animal. They're not going to run from you. There's a few things you can do as a buck. You can scratch yourself with one of the controllers, one of the buttons. So if you want, you can also ram, charge, and if you get to near some water, you can drink the water. That's pretty much all you can do as a buck. You only have a time limit, 10 minutes total. Now you can roam around as a buck before the effects of Harriet's Vitalism potion wears off. And you only can be in a certain area, a certain range. You can't just roam around the Heartlands, the Great Plains, out in New Austin or up in Amberino, or around Roanoke, or in Lemoyne, or down the swamp as a buck. You have to stay in a specific area for only a limited amount of time. Which is why I find this to be far inferior to the peyote plants in Grand Theft Auto 5 story mode, as well as in Grand Theft Auto Online, that periodically come back whenever Rockstar decides to bring back the peyote plants. For one thing, there's a wide variety of animals you can transform into with the peyote plants in GTA Online and GTA 5, and the range is almost limitless. You can just travel across the map of Southern San Andreas as a dog, fly around as a bird, or as a chicken, or a cow, or a cougar. As long as you find the specific peyote plant that transforms you into that animal. Unfortunately, what they're doing with the Vitalism Studies is they're going to be drip feeding the animals out. I don't know how many animals, by the way, we'll be able to transform into. Probably a few. Probably not all the animals in the game. The buck, obviously, is the first one. Maybe there'll be other ones. Maybe a pronghorn. Maybe a bear. Maybe an alligator. Maybe you'll be able to transform into a turkey. Or a moose. Or an elk. Or a cougar. Or a wolf. That would be cool. But yeah, unfortunately, it is time limited, which really sucks. I think it should be unlimited time. As long as you're still alive, you can roam around and be a buck as long as you want. And go wherever you want as a buck. I kind of get the fetch questing. I understand that. Where you just have to go and collect a certain number of flowers, which is why, once again, I highly advise you and encourage you to use that interactive map below in the description section. And get as many flowers as possible. If you're bored one day, listen to some music, live stream, podcast, while you're roaming around with the interactive map, collecting as many flowers as possible. I think you can hold up to 30 of those at a time. That way, whenever there's future drip-fed animals that come out, you can already have those flowers in your satchel. And see, here's where you can see the limit, as you can tell. That's as far as you can go as the buck. The buck stops there, as they say. So definitely, I think Rockstar did a better job with the peyote plants in Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto Online. than they did with Vitalism studies. For one thing, only one animal at a time. Everything gets dripped in this game, including clothing. They're even drip feeding like legendary animals once a week, like a few weeks ago, Banded Gator, then Milk Coyote, and this week, the Shadow Buck. And now they're drip feeding the Vitalism study animals. How many of them there are, I don't know. I'm guessing the data miners probably know that answer. So I guess every week going forward, we'll have a new animal we can go get flowers for, a new location to venture towards, and an animal to be for 10 minutes in a certain area. So for all these reasons, I find this to be inferior to peyote plants in Grand Theft Auto Online. It should be time limited. You should be able to range wherever you want to go. And they should have dropped all the animals at the same time. Just drop them all at once. That way it would allow you to another reason to go out and get the flowers. Maybe you don't want to be a buck. Maybe you want to be a bear or a cougar or a wolf or an elk or a moose or a pig or a cow or a bull or whatever animals are coming part of Vitalism studies. And I could see this being something that a lot of players might not be really interested in as much. And I do feel like the way they do it with the peyote plants, where you simply go get one plant, you eat the plant, you transform into an animal, works a lot better in my opinion. Even though I kind of get the fetch questing idea where you feel like you've earned it, quote unquote. It's just not really worth it in the end. But anyways, that's my thoughts, my views and opinions regarding the Vitalism studies in Red Dead Online. And it wasn't 10 minutes, it was 5 minutes. So you can only be the buck or whatever other animals happen to come out through Vitalism studies for 5 minutes. Best case scenario, you don't die. You stay in the area you're supposed to stay in. All the more reason why I find Vitalism studies to be far inferior to the peyote plants. And there you go. My thoughts, my views, and opinions regarding Vitalism studies. I'm curious as to what you think about Vitalism studies. Do you think they should have simply just copy-pasted the peyote plants from Grand Theft Auto Online over to Red Dead Online and just scattered them throughout the map and allowed us the opportunity just to go and pick out which animal we wanted to be and roam around the map and stay alive as long as we want to stay alive until we're killed by a predator, another player, NPCs, or just like fall off a mountain, for example. I think that would have been better than Vitalism studies, but like I said, it's just my thoughts, and I'm curious about your thoughts, your views and opinions, as well as what animals would you like to be for 5 minutes through the Vitalism studies. All that, as always, welcome below in the comments section.